Good morning, and I'm really looking forward to taking you on our journey, on our sugar reduction journey. But firstly, I'd like to welcome everybody to Cork as a proud Cork woman. I know, Fiona, it's your first time to Cork, and for those coming back, I hope you're going to enjoy your time here this morning. Firstly, what is a yolly? Nuala mentioned it's a children's yoghurt, but it is a yoghurt in a little character shape on a stick. So very much has a function. And I suppose the proposition initially came about. I know when my kids were younger, you'd be feeding them yoghurt, and next thing you have them ready to go out the door all nice and neat, and you get a big drop of yoghurt on their top. So very much the kid can take it to school, they don't come home with yoghurt on their uniform, and it's a nice, clean product. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll explain a little bit more of who we are. Why did we formulate? Why did we lower sugar? What we did, how we evaluated it, our findings, our outcomes, key learnings and future focus, and any advice we have. So firstly, I'm Hoare. I'm our DNA Director for Kerry Dairy Consumer Foods, and Catherine is a colleague of mine, our DNA Technologist. So we are part of Kerry, and just a little bit of an explanation about Kerry because it can be quite complicated. So we come under Kerry Dairy Ireland. So Dairy Consumer Foods is under Kerry Dairy Ireland. We work alongside our colleagues in Kerry Taste Nutrition, but two separate businesses under the group of Kerry. I suppose we're lucky in that we've access to a lot of expertise and a lot of the technology available within Taste and Nutrition. From a Kerry Dairy Ireland perspective, we are about 17% of Kerry revenue, with Taste and Nutrition about 83%. So that'll give you an idea of the size. But for Catherine and myself, we would work on a lot of the brands. Hopefully, a lot of these are very, very familiar to you. A lot of them are available in the island of Ireland, and we also have a huge export business to the UK. And 90% of the Yolly's product is sold in the UK. Plus, we have a massive private label business in the UK as well, in butter, spreads and margarine. So reformulation is very much an everyday part of our life. Plus, along with, you just mentioned sustainability and packaging. I'd say I was reviewing projects with my team yesterday. I'd say 30% of our project at the moment are involved in sustainability and nutrition. So very much our day-to-day life at the moment. And I think continuing into the future. So starting on our journey, we started our reformulation journey back in 2017. And looking at the context then, we had our own internal Do the Right Thing programme within Kerry, but we also had some key macro trends which were really out there back then. Government tax was coming down the line. There was a lot of media amplification and real kind of red headline news on sugar. Very, very scary and confusing to the consumers. Public Health England had a sugar reduction. HFSS was coming at us. Plus, one of our biggest retailers would be Tesco, and they really have the consumer at the heart of what they do. So we would have had that pressure as well to be doing the right thing from a nutritional perspective from Tesco, and they also have a very, very forward-looking view on sustainability of packaging as well. Plus, with our competitors, we didn't want to get left behind. We are a business at the end of the day. And then more recently, we have the 2025 roadmap for reformulation. So it was very much leading us in one direction. We need to reformulate our Yolly's product. So how did we do that? We explored 3 different pathways. Option 1 was drastic change to take out 30% sugar. Option 2 was no added refined sugar, I suppose substituting refined sugar with concentrated grape juice. And option 3 then was using sweeteners. We completed benchtop and pilot plant based on the 3 of these and completed quant and qual research versus standard. The qual research indicated that all 3 product samples didn't outperform the standard in taste testing. And in option 2, the quant research also showed that the purchase intent remained the same as the core Yolly's. And option 3, no added sugar, scored very, very low in claims versus calcium, and no artificial colours, flavourings and preservatives. So we took all that information and stood back, and our conclusion was to gradually lower Yolly's sugar reduction over time to allow consumers to become more accustomed to a less sweet taste. I suppose to be to really get to the nub of the product, nub of the issue, start re-educating children's palates. And so our journey began, sugar reduction by stealth. And Catherine now will take you through the hardcore, how we did it.
So for each step on the sugar reduction development journey, so the following steps had to be considered. So you can kind of see the timeline there on the screen and the length of time that it takes to do. So the first stage is starting off with benchtop trials. This is where we can get creative and try different types of flavours and different recipes, different tweaks, etc. And we would do a sensory evaluation on that as well. The next stage then would be taking it to pilot plant, and again we would do sensory evaluation. And then once we have done our pilot plant and we're happy with the recipe, then we would then scale it up in the factory. Now, to get that from factory into launch, we need to do at least 3 successful factory trials. And what I mean by successful is that it has to be able to run all the time in the factory. We would then need to get shelf life. We would need successful organoleptics, whereby we would be looking at the texture, the flavour, the colour, etc. And we'd also be looking at the product assessment, i.e. does it stay on the stick as well. So you'll see there, it is a lengthy process from benchtop to the shelf life. And shelf life, it can take up to 9 months, and that's if it goes well. And then it's probably key to mention here is also the cost that needs to be considered. There's numerous different costs with doing these trials. Specifically, when you're doing a factory upscale, it's a large quantity. We don't need all that material, and a lot of that tends to go to waste. And then there's costings with nutritionals, vitamin testing, and then at the latter stage of the project, you've got costings then with your packaging and doing your repro and your plates, etc. So in terms of our key findings, so we had found that the functionality of sugar is just not confined to flavour and sweetness, but we also need to take into account things such as texture, shelf life, and structure. So, we know that the texture of a yolly can be quite polarising, but those who enjoy texture of the yolly, or those who enjoy the yolly, it's very important that we consider, the texture. By taking the sugar out, it can alter the texture. It can make the texture quite heavy and unpleasant, and I've seen that on benchtop. And also, sugar can have the opposite effect. Depending on the tweaks or how what we're doing to the recipe, it can also give the yolly quite a loose structure, and it can mean that the yolly can just slide off the stick. And so, obviously, having that product assessment and keeping the yolly on the stick is key to the proposition of the brand, because that's the whole purpose of a yolly. It's yogurt on a stick, so it's very important that we keep that product assessment front of mind. And then probably in terms of the key to success in the reformulation was the inclusion of what we call Taste Sense Sweet, which enabled a sugar reduction, but also enabled the product maintain its sweetness, helped with the mouthfeel and the texture. And then we also tapped into the Kerry flavour technology, where we tried different top notes, particularly strawberry top notes, just to try and really emphasise that sweet strawberry taste in the yollies. And then quickly just looking at the timeline. So I really like this slide. I think it shows quite simply what we've done over our journey. So you'll see there in 2015, the Yollies was first launched. It had 12.8 grams of sugar. And through gradual reduction in single-digit percentage adjustments, we were able to launch in 2022 with 9.3 grams of sugar. And so that is actually a reduction of 27% of sugar reduction, and an annual reduction of 28 tonne of sugar a year, which is the equivalent to 7 million teaspoons of sugar. So I will hand over to Ina to close out the last slide.
Thanks, Catherine. So look, our advice is one of the key success factors was doing it by stealth and retraining your consumers' taste buds in a very, very, very gradual manner. Close connection to our suppliers as well, and leaning their technology was also key. Taste Sense and Kerry Taste technology really were fundamental to the success of the product. And to be effective and efficient for any new developments, we need to be really forward-looking, so no added sugar is now our target, and we developed a new product, Smoothie on a Stick, in 2020, and that was launched and briefed with no added sugar in mind. So we're starting from the right start and getting that brief right from the get-go. But our development isn't complete, our journey isn't complete. Our next step this year is 8.2, and we're already in development for no added sugar. Thank you.